Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, for the podcast that for this episode could be subtitled "And Then There Were Two." My name is Tosin. I am the host of the podcast. I'm based up in the Midlands in the UK, somewhere near Birmingham. And joining me on the Isle of Wight is Shaun Harris. Hello, Shaun.
Hello there. Hello.
Yeah. Shaun is the lone person joining me this week because usually we would have myself, we would have Sharon, we would have Shaun, we would have Holly, a London correspondent, but we have been visited by COVID. Yes, that's right, people. It has not gone away. We're in March 2023 and people are still catching COVID. So Holly is unfortunately laid low, and Sharon has Well, it was a double whammy of having some family stuff to do and not being able to watch anything this week, which meant that Sharon couldn't be on the show. So, for those of you who are not used to us, or maybe this is the first time you're listening to us, what we do on this show is we go to the cinema. We try and cap it at 3 things a week. 3 things a week. We see 3 things in a week. We read them out of 5. We stay at home and we see 3 things a week. We read them out of 5. And then we come back together and we say, this is where our money has been better spent this week. And Shaun, this week you have been, as usual, you are our cinema champion. Is that not right?
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I was saying that, isn't that right, Shaun? You've been in the cinemas this week.
Yes, I've been to cinemas this week. Yeah, I should have gone. I normally try to get at least 3 a week. I've managed 2 this week, but I generally try. But it's like we was having a discussion earlier on when we were off air. Sometimes it's the timings. I mean, we both wanted to see Rye Lane, and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it just, it's a daft thing.
Well, that is, I feel like we need to have a special mention for Rye Lane, because with the way the timings work, there is a real big chance and a really sad chance that we will not actually get to review Rye Lane until it shows up on a streaming platform. Because Rye Lane, when I saw the title, my cousins. My cousin Taiwo, who's on the show, he used to live with his family used to live in Peckham Rye, which is where once I saw the title Rye Lane, that was the train station. That was where you stopped. Right? I was like, oh, hey guys, look at Peckham Rye Lane. I came out. I know this place, and so from everything I've heard about Rye Lane, people have just been saying this is great, this is good. And
I've heard good things. In fact, the bit I saw, I watched a little bit on YouTube. Like, I don't think it was. Well, it might have been the trailer, but it was. If it was just like one section of the film where they're walking along talking, and just like in a shopping mall. That's a bit. And it intrigued me actually. I thought, oh, this looks really interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and this is a film that I looked at and I thought, well, I know someone's going to see Shazam. And if because I usually average a film a week in the cinema nowadays, I'm like, all right, cool. Rye Lane is the film I'm going to go. It's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to Rye Lane. And I looked at that, and you were saying it was on at 2 o'clock on the Isle of Wight.
Yes, yeah.
Where I am, the closest cinema is in Redditch. And on Redditch, it was on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 6:10 p.m. I'm like, who's gonna get that? I was looking at me. I'm thinking, okay, I'm here. I've got my kid. My wife's coming back from work. There's no way any of those timings work that I'm actually gonna get. It's like, who are you expecting to see this film? And I'm thinking, okay, students, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know why they've done that, and I'm really hoping it's still around next week, or maybe I can see it at the weekend. But I don't have high hopes. Let's just put it that way. But Rye Lane, we really wanted to review you. We really wanted to see you because I'm intrigued to see what happens with that. Okay, but what we did see, what you actually managed to see, because I mean, Shaun is kind of like you're the biggest cinema goer out of the lot of us. You're the one who gets to see most things each week. Did you actually see anything last week? Because you weren't around last week and we had nothing in cinema to talk about.
Yeah, no, I didn't see much last week at all.
Okay.
I was just trying to think. Did I see anything? No, I don't think I did. No, I don't. Right. I can't even think what was on. I must have seen something. Did we not? We did something last week, didn't we?
Oh no, you weren't here last week.
No, I wasn't here last week. No. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, no, because I had the thing. No, I don't think I did, Toes. I think I was. If I did, it obviously couldn't have been that memorable.
It took
Obviously,
3 hours of my life and gave me nothing. But
so
okay, cool. But this week you have seen Shazam, Fury of the
Shazam, yeah,
Gods, and Pearl in cinema.
yes,
Two films
yeah.
that I actually do want to see for different
Mm,
reasons. And
yeah.
at home, I have seen Slow Horses season 2 on Apple TV Plus, and Back to the Outback on Netflix. So let's kick off with cinema, as is our tradition. And Shaun, tell us about Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Okay, Fury of the Gods. So this for people that might have seen the original one when Billy Batson becomes Captain
Shazam!
Marvel, Shazam,
Mhm.
and this is a couple of years later, and he's got like a Shazam family, all his obviously which were adopted, and the mum and dad, and things to be going quite good, and he's trying to be the he's trying to be like popular, he's trying to be like Superman or whatever, and not particularly doing a good job of it. He ends up doing like commercials and things, and people saying, "Oh no, it wasn't that great," it's Wonder Woman and all this stuff. So anyway, but then these three daughters, these three daughters of Atlas, they sort of break into the museum and get, like in the Shazam, he's got the wizard staff that gives him the powers,
Yeah, the wizard stuff, yeah.
and it's broken. They get into this museum and they get the wizard staff, and they put a dome over a certain area of Philadelphia to.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's where all the action's going to take place, and they decide they're going to turn the Earth into what their version of it with this apple. So then they can take the powers away with this wand. They can take the powers can go away. So a few of the family lose their powers. Yeah, and it is and that's basically
they're going to use the thingamajigger to do the thing for reasons and blah blah blah. No, action.
That's it. Got it. Yeah. So they got the thingamajig which does the Watson a bit. That's all. So the actual continuity is not particularly, not particularly thought about. But then I think, because it is a film obviously aimed at kids, I would think,
Yes.
it's aimed towards. It's not like the normal stand-of-the-mill Batman or Superman or whatever. It's very, very, very much aimed at that young audience, because there's lots of wisecracks and lots of silly things they do, like one bit when he's going to throw the staff to someone else, and you just know, it's like, oh well, why would you do that? But anyway, I mean, it's a kids' film, so why would you do that when it's something that they got these powers that can obviously anyway. So that's basically the story. Oh, one of the Shazam family sort of likes one of the daughters, and the daughter becomes loses the powers and become what have you. And anyway, I won't give too many. So and that's basically the story. For me, I wasn't particularly enamored. I was thinking, with all this going on, where's the Justice League? Where's like, do you know what I mean? It's like this is worldwide news. This would be like, half of Philadelphia is, where's the rest of them? Where's Superman? Where's
oh my god!
Although there is a later on there is a I won't say what that is, but yeah. So I was just thinking, and it is, but there was a as I say, I think what I liked about it, there was a young lad there. I suppose he must have been, I don't know, 7, 8, with his parents, and when the film had finished, he was out going, Shazam, Shazam. So he obviously really, really liked it. And I said to him, oh, did you enjoy it? He said, oh, yeah, it was great. So I think the film is just aimed at that audience, It's just...
Well, this is the thing, because now the thing is, if you want drama, don't even watch the DC movies. Just look into the real world and see what DC are actually doing, and how they're messing everything up, and how they're canceling things, and how they're filming a film and then refusing not to release the film for tax purposes, and how they hire Henry Cavill to play Superman. They say, okay, you're going to be Superman. Come back, you're going to be Superman again. And then they hire James Gunn, and James Gunn goes, that's not the direction we're going in. And then they tell Henry Cavill, sorry, you're not going to be Superman anymore. So I mean, DC is just a mess. I mean, it's been a mess. And I know both of us, we read comics growing up. Yeah. And we are fans of these sort of films. And I don't think it's too far to say that Marvel, generally speaking, have done a better job of bringing the superheroes to the screen than DC have. And so this is a DC movie that, is it linked to the other DC movies? Is it not? It's not really clear.
No, yeah. That's it. That's what I mean. It's almost
it's,
like a standalone thing, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, I think probably not. I think probably not.
Well, but the thing as well is that there's a lot of stuff that we've seen in DC already that we don't know if it's going to continue. So this might be the last Shazam movie we have. This might be the last film that Zachary Levi plays Shazam in. We don't, because we know James Gunn has said going forward, we're going to do this. We're going to recast Superman. We're going to go with a younger Superman. We know, so we think it looks at the moment like it might be Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot. They're all out. They're no longer going to be part. So the question is that even in this world, is there a Justice League? We don't know. This film exists in a weird space where they might just have gone, well, we've made the film. The first film made a whole bunch of money. We should release this, even though it doesn't really link to anything that's coming afterwards.
No. Well, there is, funny enough, I did see a trailer of The Flash.
The Flash is definitely coming.
And that, so do you reckon they're going to try and do, like, I've got a feeling, because there was a, obviously Batman turns up. Do you reckon they're going to try and do a multiverse thing?
Oh yeah,
they're going to try and.
They haven't even tried to hide that. That's their major selling point. I
wonder if they've named it something different.
Well, the thing is, obviously Marvel have done the multiverse thing, and as usual, the whole thing with DC and Marvel is, but Marvel have built up to things slowly, and DC have just gone, no, get that quick. and so DC have gone, and the Flash movie is going to be based around the Flashpoint thing, which is him going through alternate realities. They've made no bones about that. In the trailer, you see the fact that there's more than one Batman, and more than one actor who has played Batman in the past is in this film. They make no bones about that. And even James Gunn has said that the Flash movie is going to be the point where they reset the entire DC universe.
Oh, right.
So I think they're going to use that whole multiverse thing, and then from the Flash movie onwards, they might go, okay, everything that came before this, forget about it, that's in the bin. Going forward, we're going to come up with this new stuff. But this is all to say that in the DC movies that we've had so far, there have not been very many films that you would say were good. And for me, the ones that I would say were the first Wonder Woman movie, Aquaman, and the first Shazam. I actually really enjoyed the first Shazam. I thought for what it was like it's kind of a kids movie. It's kind of a kids movie, yeah.
And that's the thing. I did like the first one. I did enjoy the first one. I thought it was sort of gone, but I think with this one, perhaps they're trying a little bit too hard with the comedic bits, It's not quite, whereas before I thought it was quite amusing and quite funny. And this one, they do it too much all the time, and there's quips and all that, and it almost seems forced. They're forced trying to make these sort of quick things, all these funny things.
Well, the truth is, when you're explaining what happens in this film earlier, I was thinking that sounds like too much plot.
Yeah,
that sounds like for what this film is, and for the first one was frothy and it was light and it was fun and all that, and this sounds like too much plot. Like they've tried to put too much in there and give it a bit more pathos. And I mean, obviously you have Helen Mirren there, and Helen Mirren can do pathos in her sleep. So, but it does. But yeah, so how many stars would you give Shazam: Fury of the Gods?
Okay, I'll give this, because the little lad sold it for me. I don't think I can be harsh on it, so I'll just give it a standard 3 stars. I didn't like it, but it wasn't anything great, and it was, not. But yeah, so I'll give it a 3 stars to be fair to it, because they did try. Perhaps they tried a little bit too hard.
Well, I think there was always. I think the first one was definitely a 3. Might have tipped over into a low 4 for me. But yeah. So for
this one's a low 3. So yeah.
From this one, I expected nothing but a 3 from this film.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And hang on a second while I'm being called. Okay, I'm being called. I will be right back because
no worries.
I hear somebody yelling "Daddy." I'll be right back.
Okay. So yeah, for those people who be quite interesting. I don't know if anybody's still listening to this, but if we have a 200th episode, is there any films that anyone's listening to want to hear us talk about? If we've seen them, of course.
Sorry.
That's right. No, it's all right. I was just sort of saying, in case anyone else was listening, I just said if they wanted to send in any well, you can listen to it. I mean, knock it out if you want, but I was just sort of saying if they want to send in anything we've talked about, and if we've seen it, we can talk about it.
Oh yeah, cool. That's a good point. Yeah, send it through to Netflix vs. Cinema on Twitter. There's a guy called Marcus Clearspring who's been sending us he's actually been listening to a backlog of our shows. So Marcus, if you're hearing this, thank you very much. I will be reading out some of your tweets just to sort of say the kind of things that he's been sending, like articles and stuff that link to some of the things we've spoken about. So it's pretty cool. But I'll do that when we have a fuller complement of people in here to really appreciate what it is that you sent to us. So thank you very much, Marcus. So if you, like Marcus, want to get in touch with us and let us know what you think about what you said, what we've been saying, then please get in touch. Netflix vs. Cinema. Or you can go to netflixvscinema.com, which is what Marcus did, and get in touch with us that way. Right. So let us carry on. And now we've done cinema, we're going to go over to streaming, Netflix and Friends. And we're going to go to Apple TV Plus. Apple TV Plus, something. Shaun, you know how I had Apple TV Plus, right? And
you did, yeah, I remember.
And I've never paid for it. Because originally my wife bought an iPad, and when she bought the iPad, they gave her a year free of Apple TV Plus. So I had it for a year. I was like, okay, cool. Watched it, cancelled it after that because I wasn't going to carry on paying for it. And after they finished, then I think it was something through her insurance. No, it was through her credit card. They gave her another year.
Yeah.
We through the
I did that for a little while.
Yeah. And then I got 3 months free from my phone company when I updated something. Then I bought an iPad and I got another.
How cool!
So all in all, I think I've had probably about 3 years of Apple TV Plus, and I have never paid. And once they get to the point where they might ask me to pay, I'm canceling it because, quite frankly, there's too many other things going on there. Even though Apple TV Plus does have some great stuff on it.
It does have some great stuff. I mean, I remember seeing a few things on there. The Greyhound over like.
Yeah.
There's a few things, but yeah, because it was a Barclay card. With the Barclay card, you could get it for, I think it was 3 months. It was something like that. You get the Barclay card. Or was it maybe a month? Maybe I can't really remember.
No, it was longer than that. I think we had it for a year.
Oh right, okay, cool.
I think we had it for a year with Barclay card. So essentially, we have this. We're now on this thing where we're just going around trying to find all the different deals where we can watch Apple TV Plus, Apple TV Plus for free. but now knowing that they're probably going to cancel that now. But as we're talking about great stuff, on Apple TV Plus, such as Slow Horses, which I reviewed season 1 of Slow Horses, and I thought that Shaun, you would really, really like it.
You remembered.
I maintain that you would really, really like this.
The thing is, Toes, there is so much, isn't there?
There is so much.
It's a plethora of stuff. People say, you should see this, you should see that, you should. I've still not seen Chernobyl, and yet so many people have told me how good it is, and I've not seen it. And half the things that some of the guys have reviewed, I haven't seen. It's too much,
I haven't finished seeing The Last of Us. The Last of Us. There's a whole bunch of other things. I know that there was a TV series of Watchmen, and I've had that on my list for years to watch. Haven't gone around to it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but if you ever get there on a Sunday afternoon or anything like that, I think you'd like this. So this is Slow Horses is based around a place called Slough House, and it's a bit of the British Secret Service. So MI5, I believe it is. Yes, I can never remember if it's MI5 or MI6. And the idea is that in Slough House is the place where they send all the disgraced agents, all the agents who mess up on the job and don't want to leave the service. They essentially go to there, and it's kind of like a purgatory that you never get out of. And so it's like, oh, this agent, what happened? Oh, they raided the wrong house on a drug bust, and then the people got away. They get sent to Slough House. And there's this whole running thing where every agent who's in Slough House, you keep trying to figure out, what did they do? How did they mess up? Why are they in Slough House? So in season 2, you meet up with them again in Slough House. Everything is going on. And this links back to the Cold War, because in the first episode, you see this guy who used to be an agent, and he was kind of like one of these disgraced agents. He no longer works for the Secret Service, but he sees somebody in the street, and he starts tailing this guy. Because he thinks he recognizes him from his days in Berlin when the Cold War was going on. and he starts tailing this guy. But eventually, this guy, the agent who is tailing, ends up dead. He ends up dead on a bus, and but before he dies, he writes one word down. He writes a word down on his phone. Then Jackson Lamb, who's played by Gary Oldman, sort of like shows up and everything, and uses his whole spycraft and everything, finds the phone, sees the word, and once he sees the word, he just goes, "Oh, F word." and once he goes that, it sets the whole thing into motion. People are trying to figure out, was this agent killed or did he just die? What goes on? What's going on? What does this word mean? And it kicks off this sort of like, the good thing Slow Horses does is like, it's a paranoid thriller where you don't really know who to trust, what you're going to do. And one thing they do in this season is that almost everybody in Slough House gets spread to different places. So you have the River Cartwright, who is played by Jack Lowden. He ends up in the Cotswolds trying to track down Russian former KGB agents. And you have Jackson Lamb is down in London doing his whole thing, being disgusting while being really, really good. Like, his whole thing is like, he looks like a schlub. He looks like he doesn't iron his shirt. He looks like he's never had a bath or anything like that. But he's a very good spy. He's a very good spy. And even though and it's powered by his morals, because he says things like, "This guy Dickie Bow," and it's like yeah, Dickie. That was the name of the character's called Dickie Bow. His name is Richard Bow, but they call him Dickie Bow. And he's like, what? It's like, what about Dickie Bow? It's like, no, I didn't like him. I didn't like Dickie Bow at all. But he was one of my Joes, and somebody killed him, and therefore, and I think the world that it builds is believable, but it's also fun, and you can see that Gary Oldman is just having the time of his life. He is loving playing this character. He gets to be irascible. He gets to be mean. He gets to not care about anybody. And it's a really good performance. Kristen Scott Thomas shows up again as the head of Lady Di, the head of MI5, and I just thought it was really, really good. So I think if you want sort of like, a spy thriller, there's only about 8 episodes, I think. Was it 6? Either 6 or 8 episodes.
And how long are they, Toes? How long are the episodes? 45 minutes?
An hour. They're about
an hour, yeah.
And
about an hour. I mean, do you empathise with the characters, or I mean,
yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. I mean, especially I think in season 1, there's a real thing where you empathise with all these guys of how they ended up in Slough House, because some of them you think it wasn't fair that they ended up in Slough House.
Yes.
And between season 1 and season 2. There's more people, there's new characters who've shown up in Slough House, and the way that they all sort of work and all that. And you have Roddy, who's like the computer guy, but he's just an absolute
geek.
Fill in the blank. No, not geek. He's a horrible person, and it's the way different people and the way the characters bounce off each other is actually really, really good. The way they bounce off each other is really good, and they have some storylines that carry on from season 1 into season 2, where you find out a little bit more about it. But each season is sort of standalone, where you can, because it's based on a book, or each one of them is based on a book, and you can read them, you can watch them without having to watch anything else. And
is there much in the way of action?
They have some action set pieces.
Okay.
But this is not really about the action. When it has action set pieces, it goes for it. But this is not really about the action. It's more about the spycraft, and it's more about the figuring out. And it's more about the how do we actually go about this, and then get into the mentality of who would be a spy and everything. It's quite good. It's quite good. And Shaun, if this might sell it to you, this might be the final thing that sells it to you. The theme tune is sung by Mick Jagger.
Oh.
That might do it. That might not do it. I don't know. But Slow Horses.
Is it? Yeah. Well, there was a movie, the Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy one with Gary Oldman. Is it?
Yes,
is it in that sort of vein? Is it?
So Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is obviously set in the 70s, or was it 60s?
70s, yeah.
70s. It's set in the 70s. This is set in the present day.
Right.
And
okay.
It's set in the present day.
It's got that feel about it, yeah.
It's got that feel about it, where it's not. You have the James Bond end of it, where it's all like, run around, blah blah blah. And there's one character particularly, that's River Cartwright, who you can see. He thinks he's James Bond, and he wants to be James Bond, and he wants that glamour thing. And they keep drawing this parallel between, they call it what do they call it? It's like the Yard or something like that, or I can't remember what they call it, but they refer to the main office or the MI5 office as the something. And that's when you go there, it's all shiny and everybody's wearing suits and everybody's like, slick back hair. And that's like the James Bond world. And then you have the Slough House thing, which is everything, just like, crisp packets everywhere and uneaten Chinese containers. And essentially when you look at Slough House on screen, you can almost smell it. That's the way
Oh, wow.
And so they do that whole sort of like, a lot of the spy work is boring and is not glamorous. So they show you the glamour and then they go, but that's not where the real work is happening. The real work is happening here in this unglamorous bit. So I really like it. I really like it, and I think it carries on from the first season. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. And I know that they're making at least 2 more seasons of it. But yeah, go see.
I will try and check that one out then.
Yeah, if for nothing else, go see it for Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman having a time of his life. Yeah. And now we go back to cinema and we go to Pearl. Now, Pearl is oh no, wait, let me guess. It's a prequel. It's a prequel. I was going to say sequel, but it's a prequel to the film X, which was released a while back and I reviewed. And Shaun, you reviewed it, yeah. Yeah, you were talking about how, because you weren't on the show when I reviewed it, but you were talking about how you were just watching the review of what I said about X. And X it managed to be one of these rare things, which was a horror movie that I actually thought had something a little bit more to say than, hey, let's kill some people.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great. X, yeah, X was for me. I mean, I guess like Sharon when she was saying about our friends liking it, yeah. I mean, I was with them on that. It's nods to so many films, Texas Chainsaw, Death Trap, and I really enjoyed X.
Yes, and so X, and so this is a prequel. There's a character. I don't want to give too much away about X, but because I think you should go see it, because I actually think X is the rare horror movie that I would recommend.
And I say this is a prequel, but I'm glad that X came out first. So, I mean, it's quite funny. I had this conversation. It was, would you like to see him chronologically? But if you was to see it chronologically, I think it would spoil X.
I think so too.
So I think they've done this. I mean, it was a good move doing that.
Well, the thing is, okay, because it's called Pearl and is named after a character in X, and yes. I think, quite frankly, if they'd released this first, nobody was going to see it. The only reason you want to go see it is because in X you see the character of Pearl, and you do wonder about the character of Pearl. You do wonder, like, what the heck is up with that? And this is a question the film tries to tell you a little bit about what the heck is up with that. So tell us, Pearl.
Okay, so Pearl. So this is the story. Obviously, the character from X is Pearl. She's a bit younger. She is married, and her husband. She's married to Howard. It's the same. And but he's off. It takes place 1918. The war's just finishing. Yeah. And he's still off with war. So there's some letters that are sent and all that. She lives on the farm. He actually comes from quite good stock, from quite good family, quite well-off family, where she's from this really domineering German mother, and there is a pandemic on at the time, which is very and when Pearl wants to go out, it's like, no, I don't want you bringing back the germs and everything like that. And there's another so you see her on the farm. She talks to the animals and she wants to be a star. It's always this big thing, star, I want to be a star. And she dances for the animals on the hay bales and things like that. And then this sort of duck comes and goes, oh, Mr. Goose, and something happens. But anyway, so she likes these animals, but she's also pretty cruel. Anyway, she goes into town and she's sort of looking at the cinema. There's a cinema, obviously it's the silent ones with the 1918, and she goes to the cinema and she walks down the side and she's a projectionist. And so she sees a projectionist. The projectionist all come into the projection booth and come in, and he comes in and he says, oh, you want to see one of these movies? This is what they call a stag movie, and you'd be really good in this. And she's sort of looking through the thing, and she goes back and something else.
Wait. Snag movie, was that code for porn?
A porn, yeah. So like a real black and white. He goes, oh yeah, they show these in gentlemen's clubs. This is the future. This is where films are going to go. Yeah. So. Anyway, she decides, she goes off. She's a little bit, she goes off and she does something with a scarecrow, which we won't talk about. But then she ends up going back to see the projectionist, and she has a little thing of the projectionist, and the projectionist quite likes her.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Oh, I'll give you a lift back." She's done some other things in the meantime. She's done some other things to mum and dad. She's not very nice to the dad, who is aware, but he's a paraplegic. He can't actually he can't do anything for himself.
Yeah,
but he's aware of things, and she sort of teases him so he can see. Anyway.
Yeah,
enough about the story. I've made some notes on this because I thought this was.
What did you think?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I thought. The projectionist, when he goes to the farm, and she's like, what's wrong and all that, and he can see, he's like, man, I need to
get the hell out of here.
I need to get the hell out. Am I going to do this without seeing me too? Oh, so right, I've got to go back to the thing. And it reminded me of a situation that I've been in at one time. So something's happened, and I thought, and I could really relate to that. I was like, oh my God. I mean, obviously something a bit more disastrous than that, but anyway, a lot of nods to films in this, but what I'm going to say is this to me, I'm in love with Mia Goth. I think she is the most amazing actress that I've ever come across. She's she was absolutely brilliant in this. She does a monologue for about 11 minutes.
Oh wow. And
it is absolutely she's fantastic. She's fantastic in this. So the story, she's part of the, like I said, Howard was from a rich family, so she's got like a sister-in-law who's like, there's this dance show coming and they're going to choose one girl from every village. So she turns up and she performs, and then you go into this lovely sequence of fireworks and like a big thing, and you can see an imagination, and for me it worked. I thought, wow, this really works. She's actually there. And even though it's just like a little stage in a village hall, she's actually there in
the hall or something.
Yeah, in the hall. And then they say, no, sorry, we're not interested. She goes, but. So it's all about the stardom and all about, disappointment and stuff.
Yeah.
A terrific scene when she's having an argument with her mother and there's a rainstorm going on. And I think it is, wow, I'm going to stick my neck out here. This is probably the best film I've seen for a good few years. As much as I like it, yes, and so I've made. She does things to animals all the way through, so she builds up. But in that monologue, and I was talking about empathy.
Yeah,
you can see where she's coming from. And I want it to be loved. You could see it, and it leads on so well into what's going to happen in X, and it just shows a really, really. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about this film. I loved it. And the titles at the end, right? It's got to be about, just because, I mean, I won't spoil it. So obviously your husband's away, your husband's going back. And then there's titles come up. The titles are there with a close up. And I would say for, I don't know how long, 5 minutes. And then, so like a big grin, and then gradually going, changing. Reminded me a bit of, I don't know. The act, I can't say enough about the acting was first class. Reminded me of a scene in Hostiles with
with Christian Bale and Rosamund Pike. Yeah.
A couple of scenes in Fury with Brad Pitt, which I loved. I thought she convinced me. She was totally convincing in this movie. Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, yeah. What can I say? It's just I thought it was brilliant, and there were nods to. Not just Death Trap and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then nods to Mary Poppins, it was
Yeah, because that there's a third film coming.
Yeah. But I hope it's going to stay as it is.
There's a third film called Maxine, set in the 80s. So this is like I have gone on record saying I really don't like horror, especially slasher movies. Where I'm like, why is this? But I felt like X was doing something that there were things in it where it was making comparisons between like porn and horror and all that kind of stuff, and you were talking about the references to all these other films, and it made me think, okay, if I'd watched more horror movies, I would appreciate how clever this film is more, and I feel like this is when Pearl was being released, I was actually like. because apparently they started making while they were making X. Mia Goth and the director Ty West, they just started talking and they were like, okay, Pearl, what about Pearl? What's up? And so they ended up coming up with this whole idea. So by the time X was released, they had actually shot Pearl, and it apparently came across quite organically. So I'm really interested in what they're doing, and I'm really interested in the sort of in seeing more of it. So, but anyway, it sounds like you're totally sold.
I am totally sold. I'm just worried that I've sold it too much, and you might go there expecting good things. And so, if you do go and see it, you keep an open mind and you give your own. Don't think that what's Shaun going on about?
No. I'll tell you, because the thing is, I know as the same way with X, I'm expecting that there's going to be a lot of stuff that is going to be over my head because not big horror fan, do not like horror movies, and I'm expecting, and so. I think X was 18, wasn't it? This is 15, and there's not so much in the way of sex. And I what I would say is I know Mia Goth. Mia Goth is a great actress. Yeah, Mia Goth is a great so I think me watching Pearl is just a case of it's curiosity. I just want to see. It's not. I'm not expecting anything. I'm not expecting it to be good. I don't think it will be bad. But it's just a curiosity. I just want to see. Okay, what are these guys gonna do? How are they gonna play this? That's what I want to see. So I don't even know what I should ask. But how many stars would you give Pearl?
Well, this is the high. This is a solid high 5. And if I could give it more, I would. I just loved it. Oh, and I have to say there was about. I would say there's probably. What was there? 8 other people in the cinema. So and they all stayed to the end of the credits. I've never seen that before. Nice. No one got up. It's almost like they were expecting something else to happen. You know what I mean? You know, like you have these after credit sequences.
Yeah.
Like they were expecting some more, but they all stayed there. I spoke to a couple, and the lady said, that was absolutely brilliant. She says, I love my horrors and all that. And I spoke to the bloke, because I've not really seen many horror films, but yeah, it was all right. So not everybody was totally enamored as you know, so it's going to be a bit like that, I think. But for me, yes, a solid 5 stars. Well, more than a solid 5 stars, a high 5 stars. I really, really liked it. And I am totally enamored with Mia Goth. And
you're in love with Mia Goth.
Florence Pugh. I'm afraid Florence Pugh, you'll have to take it.
The way you talking about this, I can see all of a sudden, like, you know, Florence Pugh leaving your mind. I can see Ana de Armas going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Mia Goth is now like on a throne in your head. It's like yes, I am now Shaun's actress du jour. Yeah. All right, cool. So now we go back to Netflix and Friends, and we talk about a film called Back to the Outback, a film that not many people probably have heard of. At least not many people who do not have small children would have heard of this. So I have done through this, started going through this whole thing where sometimes when my daughter can't sleep, we just go downstairs in the middle of the night to sort of give her mum a break, and we just go onto Netflix and we look for animated movies, and we see what comes up. And Back to the Outback comes up, and this is animated, 3D animated, and it has animals in it, which, you know, okay, cool, with a kid, this is onto a winner. This is onto a winner. And also it has a koala as the central animal on it. So obviously you're like, oh my God, yeah. You're like, play this for the kid. The first time I came across this film, they have this trailer, and this trailer tells you nothing about the film. It tells me nothing about the film. It is just the main animals from the film dancing to a German dance track. It is random, and it is brilliant. It is random, and it is brilliant.
I love randomness.
Honestly, Shaun, I will send you the link to this of the animals dancing to this song called the song. They dance to a song called Coincidence. And it has this refrain that goes, wow, you can really dance. And I remember watching this thing and going, there is no way this film is anywhere close to as inventive as that trailer is. That trailer is the best thing. And so I didn't watch this thing for ages. I just thought, no, it's going to be rubbish. It's going to be middle of the road. It's going to be some, like, you know, trying to be Pixar, but some Pixar nonsense. Then so I played it for my daughter, and she was watching it and everything. But every now and then I would catch a glimpse of this film, and I'll be like, "Oh, that was actually quite clever." I'll catch another glimpse and be like, "Oh, that was actually quite clever." And so I've essentially watched this whole film in bits while my daughter's watching it, because she keeps asking for koala dancing, and I am shocked. This is a very good film. It's a very, very good film. It's animated, it's set in Australia, and the whole idea behind it is that you have this Australian wildlife park in Sydney, and it's across the road from the Sydney Opera House. And so you have this wildlife park, and you have all these animals. There's a taipan snake, there's a funnel web spider, there is a spiky kind of thing. I can't remember what it is, and there's a scorpion, and the all ideas that they're all venomous. And there's this character who is obviously based on like Stephen Irwin or somebody who is a wannabe Stephen Irwin. And he keeps talking about, these are the most dangerous animals in the whole world. And he keeps bringing them out. And the idea is that the animals, they go, you know what? We don't want to be seen as dangerous. We don't want to be seen as monsters. And they say, while we're in captivity, we want to escape. We want to go back to the Outback, where the title comes from. But when they're trying to go back to the Outback, the most popular animal in the zoo or the wildlife park is this koala called Pretty Boy. And this koala called Pretty Boy has like a Twitter page and Instagram and has all these followers. And there's even astronauts in space who watch the live feed of Pretty Boy sleeping. And everybody's like, oh my God, Pretty Boy. But the idea is that Pretty Boy is a total diva and he's a horrible thing. And while they're trying to escape, Pretty Boy starts drawing attention to them. So they essentially take him with him. They more or less kidnap Pretty Boy. So and it's about these animals going from Sydney, trying to get back to the Outback. And I really like this.
Sounds intriguing.
Honestly, the voice cast it's almost kind of like it's the voice. Hang on a second. Oh, battery's dead. Never mind, we're almost done. And the voice cast for this is crazy. It's crazy because it's almost kind of like if you think of an Australian who left or made it big in Hollywood, and apart from a couple like Hugh Jackman and Kate Blanchett, but the lead character, the taipan snake Maddie, is voiced by Isla Fisher. The funnel web spider, he's like it's mate, and they had this joke where it's mating season. It's mating season, but because he's the only funnel web spider in captivity, he can't mate with anybody. And it's like this running joke about essentially in a kid's movie, they get a joke about how there's this horny spider in the middle of it that doesn't have anybody to do anything with. And he has this twig that he holds onto her and he keeps dancing, doing this mating dance, but he got it. And that spider, that horny funnel spider is voiced by Guy Pearce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's voiced by Guy Pearce. You have Eric Bana. And Eric Bana is in this film, and he plays the Steve Irwin wannabe called Chaz Hunt. And he's the one chasing these animals, trying to get them back, and everything. And then it's intimated that he might not be all that all the stories that he tells might not be true, and it's. And so you have all these different things, all these different characters, and it does the whole thing. Obviously, we've spoken about Australia before in this podcast, and we spoke about the film, The Nightingale, and how in my head, I feel like if you're going to do something in Australia, you need to acknowledge something about it, even if it's a kid's film. And they do things like that, where they have there's a bit where there's an Aboriginal child who grows up, and the way the Aboriginal child is treated in the film with the animals and everything. I'm like, I actually really, really like this. So in bits over the last 3-4 months, I've watched this film, and it's a kind of film that when my daughter asks for it, I'm more than happy to put it on. I'm happy to watch it in the background, and I would give it a 4 out of 5 because there are times when I'm watching it and I have to turn to my wife and go, this is good, isn't it? And she's like, yeah, it's really good. I'm like, this is clever, isn't it? It's like, yes, it is. Because I'm just kind of like, everything about this film, when I first saw it, said subpar Pixar nonsense. And it just put up in the background on a Saturday afternoon and forget about it. Use it to distract your kids. But I would say Back to the Outback, give it a watch on Netflix. It's actually good. And I would give it a 4 out of 5. It is clever. Oh, and I forgot to say Tim Minchin. Tim Minchin voices the koala, and I think Tim Minchin is hilarious. Some of the lines in this, there's some clever things. There's a line about Mad Max that made my wife crack up, and it's good. It's good. Watch it. Be surprised. That's what I would say. 4 stars for Back to the Outback. So, who do you think has won this week, Shaun?
I think it's a tie. We got a 5 and a 3 and a 4 and a 4. So
it is
tied, which is good. We like that. Yes.
It is a dead tie. This week we had as much fun in both places, in Netflix and Friends and cinema. It's a dead tie, and I'm happy with that. If we all win, hey, I'm good with that.
That's it.
So until next week, when I think we're going to be trying to track down Rye Lane and see if it's on at some time when we can actually watch the film. Yeah, and actually watch the film. And also,
I think there's a Mia Goth film, but I don't know if it's out again. A film she's in, I can't remember what it's called, by Cronenberg, or Cronenberg's son.
Oh yes, Infinity Pool.
Infinity Pool, yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, Infinity Pool. But I don't know, you didn't like the last Cronenberg though, did you?
No, that was the
Viggo Mortensen organs and like operational thing.
Yeah. So, but Mia Goth's in it. Mia Goth's in it. So
Sean's not going to be tracking down anything Mia Goth has ever done. It's like, oh, here's like some bootleg recording somebody did on a phone of the final thing Mia Goth did when she was at drama school. Sean's like, yep, I'm there. 5 stars.
Excellent.
Right, until next week, when I think we shall have John Wick Chapter 4. I think it might be out next week. I know Dungeons and Dragons on Amongst Things is coming. We will see. But until next week, whatever it is that it's in the cinemas, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks. I enjoyed that one, Toast.